All right, I have a short video just to kind of talk about some trends. So we finally saw what these physical activity guidelines are. Let's find out what the playing field is. How many people are actually meeting these? What proportion of people, so on and so forth. So let's look at these trends. So, the U.S. national average, the national weighted percentage of adults who reported no leisure time activity is 25.4%, which has decreased from 36.2% in 2008. That's a that's a big decrease, right? And I mean, we talked about it. A lot more jobs are sedentary now, so that's probably a big reason for it. And then just maybe just the commutes are worse, so they don't have time outside of work to do things. There's a variety of reasons, right? Um, in 2018, only 54.2% of adults met the 150-minute aerobic activity per week guideline, 37.4% for a 3-minute aerobic activity guideline, and then 27.6 for the muscle strengthening guideline, 24% for both the aerobic and muscle strengthening guidelines. So, yeah, 1 in 4 people were actually meeting both guidelines. And again, you get it, right? It's hard. It's hard to manage everything as an adult, but that's just the playing field that we're in right now, right? The need to really emphasize these guidelines. Um, let's look at some updated trends. So that data was from 2018. Now this is from the CDC in 2020. And I thought, let's put figures from the CDC instead of text. So all right, people who met the aerobic guidelines, a little under half, 46.9%, right? And then the people who met the muscle strengthening guidelines, only 31%. People who are meeting both, 24.2%. Um, Meeting neither, 46.3%. So, I mean, we have a lot of work to do, right? That's the main thing to glean from this updated data. Additionally, let's look at the age breakdown. By the way, I don't think I clarified it, but this is for adults above the age of 18 in the US. So we probably have different trends than the rest of the world, but regardless, that's just the context here. Um, so here we're looking at men and women and then the age breakdown. So um, it should be relatively intuitive, I guess, that the older people get, the less they're doing it. Now, is this, is it a chicken or the egg situation? Like, which one comes first? Are older people not as physically active because they have these conditions, or is it because they weren't active when they were younger, and then as they got older, they got even less active because of that downward spiral? Who knows, right? But um, some general trends we see are that men in general are meeting those guidelines more than women for basically every single category. Um, and again, younger, they're meeting it more so. But even in this younger age group, 18 to 34 years old, it's interesting that it's only 41% in men and 28.7 in women. Like that's still pretty low for the young age, right? Um, so again, a lot of reasons why we, as people who know this stuff really well, why we should really be emphasizing it to everyone, even if they're not our clients, like even if they're cousins, uncles, friends. I mean, we don't want our loved ones to end up in these categories, right? Where only one in 10 people are meeting these very, very basic guidelines. Let's keep going. So, there was a recent study done where over 27,000 adults were surveyed between 2007 and 2016 to see the if they're meeting these guidelines, right? So while a total number of Americans who met the guidelines slightly improved in those early years, the amount of sedentary behavior also increased. So why that is, again, you could think of as many reasons as I can. Um, Television, streaming, I mean, it could be any reason, right? But that's an interesting trend that we see. Also, adults between 50 and 64 years of age and those who are overweight actually perform less physical activity in 2015 to 2016 than 2007 to 2008. So this could be a downward spiral thing where is it because they gain the weight that they're doing less activity, or is it because they were doing less ac physical activity that they gained the weight? Again, you could see how many different downward spirals you can identify in looking at this trend data, right? And then lastly, trends for specific groups. So there are people making positive progress, which is encouraging. So non-Hispanic Black individuals increased from 52.7% to 62.2%. That's really good. Older Americans improved as well by about 5%, which is really good because as we saw, we need that age group that benefits so much from these guidelines to adhere to them. Women also improved about 4%, and individuals with obesity around 5% again. So it's not all, you know, bad stuff. It's not all negative, right? But as you could see, there's a lot of work to do. So just keep this trend data in mind. I would personally be very interested to see what these trends are like, following COVID. Now, the 2020 CDC data, I don't recall exactly what part of COVID they recorded that data, but I'd be curious to see maybe up to 2025, how have these trends kept up? So I'm sure maybe you guys, were a part of this, but I know I got more active during COVID because there was nothing else to do. Um, so we could see those trends and whatnot, but yeah, just some food for thought. See you in the next one.